listeners, welcome to this video! Woo! It is high school graduation time once again, which means I'll be doing a camera for the graduation, like I did last year. And last year I did a day in life video, but this year, instead of like not filming a day in life type video, or even a week in life type video, I'm actually going to be filming a 6 days in a life type video of me doing camera for high school graduations. That's because during the season of high school graduations, I'm really busy doing camera. Like, I was scheduled for pretty much all the graduations, except for 2 of them. That's because I was busy that day. But for all the graduations you see in this video, and I was able to like do camera for those graduations, so that is why I decided to do a 6 days in life video. With that being said, enjoy the video. I started filming for this video on Wednesday, May 28th. And I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. After a nice big stretch, I of course had to get my glasses on. Then it was time to get out of bed to start my day. But before breakfast, Brownie and Chester went to say hi. After Brownie and Chester said hi, it was time to make breakfast at 6:15 in the morning. Of course, I'm having eggs for breakfast. And I of course had to have my morning cup of coffee. And a few minutes later, the eggs were done. And then at 6:20, it was time for breakfast. Shortly after breakfast, at 6:30, it was time to get ready for the day. After getting my glasses on, I was ready to go for the day at 6:50 in the morning. And a few minutes later at 7:10, I was on my way to Old Dominion. And at 8 in the morning, I was finally at Old Dominion, but it was raining. Shortly after making a quick stop at Starbucks, I started editing a video at 8:10 in the morning. And funny enough, I was working on a day in the life video. And that video was doing camera for baseball video. That came out the first Wednesday of June. Hopefully y'all watched it. Anyway. And at 10:50 in the morning it was time to pack up. Put on my coat. Grab my stuff. And leave the study room to get ready for work. And at 11 in the morning, I was on my way to work. And I got some nice videos of the canvas on my way to work. And at 11:30, I arrived to work. After an hour of chilling in the control room, I made my way to my camera at 12:30, and this is my view of the graduation. After getting my camera set up, it was time for the first graduation at 1 p.m. Before I knew it, at 1:30 it was time for names. And I, of course, got a special shot of the graduates on the stage. And here's my shot on the Jumbotron. At 1:50, the first graduation was over. A few minutes later, at 2:10, I was at lunch. What I saw was a chili dog. At 2:30, I ride back to work. And 2 hours later, at 4 p.m., it was time for the second graduation. And then at 4:30, it was time for names once again. Because there was more names at 5:30, the graduation was over. And at 7, it was time for the last graduation of the day. And at 7:30, it was time for names, and since it was a smaller group, it was a lot quicker than the second graduation. That meant at 8 p.m., the last graduation of the day was over. And that meant I was able to leave my camera and get ready to go home. At 9 p.m. I was home and Chester was happy. And that's all I have for Wednesday, so now it's time for Saturday. When I woke up Saturday, the first thing I saw was Brownie waiting for me. Even though it was very early in the morning because I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was not really happy about that. And I was tired as well. Anyway, it was time to get ready for the day at 6 o'clock in the morning. And at 6:20, I was ready to go to work. When I got there at 7:20, I had enough time to get a coffee that lasted me the whole day. And also a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich. Funny enough, like last year, I ran into my old teachers because some of the schools are graduated. This particular teacher was not there last year, but later in the day, I ran into a teacher that was there last year. But what was funny about it was she was talking to some other teachers. And I walked by trying to get to my camera, and I thought I recognized her, but I wasn't sure. So I proceeded to stare at her to figure it out, and this made him confused, because she probably didn't recognize me. But I eventually went with someone who looked like my old teacher and just went to my camera. It probably made her and the teachers confused. This is why I was staring. Later in the day, I was walking back to the control room and realized it was her. And that's when I got this picture right here. Anyway, at 8 AM I finally made it to my camera, and it was time to wait for the first graduation. These are the programs for the graduations. First graduation was Nasmith River. Second one was Lakeland. And that was followed by the school I graduated from, Kingsport. Finally at 9 in the morning, it was time for the first graduation. Sometime later, the first graduation was over. After that, I walked through the control room and found out there was a security board. And of course, I had to snack on it. 12:30, it was time for the second graduation. At 1:40, the graduation was over. After that graduation, at 1:50, I had a hot dog and chips for lunch. And at 4 PM, I was getting happy because it was time for the Kingsport graduation. And at 5 PM, the graduation was over. And that meant it was finally time to go home, or so I thought. Because at 5:30 I went to DeVicchio's to get mozzarella sticks and pizza. And on the way home, it was raining like crazy. Like, what the heck? This came out of nowhere. Here's some more rain on the way home. We arrived safely home at 7 PM and Chester was happy. And of course Brownie was happy to see me too. Anyway, after saying hi to Brownie and Chester, it was finally time to go to my room. So take off my coat and change. After changing, Brownie was being cute, and that's everything I got for Saturday, so now it's time for yet another Saturday. On this Saturday, I was awake early once again at 5:38, and I was tired. But luckily, this was the last time I had to wake up this early for graduations. Not long after breakfast at 5:53, it was time to hashtag it's gym o'clock, it's workout time. Yes, even though it was early in the morning, I still wanted to do a workout. It was because I was doing the Bully Juice workout challenge. And also, I did not have time later in the day, and you'll see why as the day goes on. At 6 AM, I was done my workout, and it was time to get the dishes up. After that, it was time to pack up my book bag because I had some stuff to do later in the day, and I needed to change of clothes. it was time to get ready for the day. After grabbing my stuff, it was time to leave at 6:30 in the morning. And I got to work at 7:20 with just enough time to get coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. And then at 8 it was time to go to my camera. And this was the first graduation of the day. And then before I knew it, 9 AM rolled around and it was graduation time. And all graduations on this day had a choir, and color guard, and a band. Shortly after doing names, and then at 10:20 the graduation was over. And then we got one graduation down and 2 more to go. And it was time to wait for the second graduation. And then at 12 PM it was time for the second graduation. Instead of the graduation being over after names, they started singing like this. Anyway, not long after that, 1:20, the graduation was over. Ten minutes later at 1:30, I had pizza for lunch. And at 3 PM, it was time for the last graduation. At 4:20, the last graduation was over. And it was time to go home, or so I thought, and you'll see why in a minute. And that's because at 5 PM I had a wedding to go to. That's because I had 2 friends at church that got married on this day. And funny enough, the next day, my cousin got married. And here's a few clips of that. You can see by the pre-wedding videos, the wedding was at the aquarium. After looking around the museum, it was finally time for the wedding. After the wedding, we snacked on this food. And I danced around this shark. After looking at sharks, it was time for the first dance. And shortly after that, it was time to cut the cake. And the bouquet toss. You see, I was doing it, and guess who caught it? Me! I caught it! Woo! This is what the bouquet looks like, and let's get back to Saturday. After the wedding on Saturday, I got a picture of my friends. After that, I showed off this fan that I got from the wedding. After showing off my fan, I was taking a nice little nature walk to the Cure to get a bagel and a drink to cool down with. After arriving at the Cure, I got the tea I was talking about, plus the bagels that was off camera. And then I was home! And that's all I have for Saturday. Now it's time for Wednesday. Monday was back to weekday graduations, which meant I start my day at the Web Center at 8:20 eating Chick-fil-A while watching some Star Wars. And after a quick Chick-fil-A breakfast, it was finally time to start editing a video. And on this day, I was editing a Premiere Pro video that should be out before this video. After that, at 10:50, it was time to pack up to head to the gym. At 11:15, I made it to the gym, and this is what it looks like on the outside. Anyway, I finally made it inside, and they recently got done with the floors. What do y'all think? And I had the racquetball court to myself. Anyway, after checking out the racquetball court, it was time to work out. And of course, I had to start off with the bully juice workout. And sorry for the footage, I'm not sure why there's a flicker like this, but I tried to fix it, but I could not, so sorry about how the footage is. Anyway, after the bully juice workout, and then instead of doing basketball right after my bully juice workout, it was time for my gym workout, which started out with 3 sets of 10 of bench press. And yes, I used the Smith machine because why not? And the reason why I was not able to use the basketball court was because there was a summer camp happening, but eventually I was able to do basketball. But in the meantime, I had to do 3 sets of 10 of assisted dips. These next 2 workouts are bad shots, but the next thing I had to do was 3 sets of 10 reps of shoulder press machine. And that was followed by 3 sets of 10 reps of lat pull down. Here's a much better shot, and I had to do 3 sets of 10 reps of dumbbell bicep curls. And I had to do 3 sets of 10 reps of leg press. And that was followed by 3 sets of 10 reps of leg curls. And then the last workout, 3 sets of 10 reps of seated calf raises. After that, I was finally able to play some basketball before leaving the gym. On the way to lunch, I saw a cat. And here is a better picture of him. Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? And I jokingly named him Little Blue because all the Minions mascot is Big Blue. Anyway, I also saw a squirrel on the way to lunch. After seeing a squirrel, I finally had lunch at 1:30 and I went to Jersey Mike's for lunch. And shortly after that, at 3 p.m., I made it to work. And at 4 p.m., it was graduation time. And this is a picture of all the graduates that were at the first graduation. Like, wow. A lot of students graduated. And funny enough, my boss told me there was like 500 students at the first graduation. At 5:40, I was able to leave and have a quick dinner at Saka Sushi, and this is what I ordered. And then at 6:50, it was back to work to get ready for the last graduation of the day. And at 7:30, it was time for the last graduation. And these are the students that were at that graduation. And then at 8:40, the graduation was over. At 9:30, I was home, and Tessa was happy, and now it's time for Tuesday. At 6:40 Tuesday, Chester wanted some attention. At 9:30, I was at Old Dominion, and I was editing Monday of the 6 days in life of a camera operator during graduations. On Monday, it was back to weekday graduations, which meant I started my morning at the web center at Old Dominion. And then at 11:30, it was time to pack up my stuff. And leaves the web center to go to the gym. Before that, I saw this fountain and a squirrel. And then it was time to work out at 12 p.m. And at 1:50, I went to the web center to have Hannah's breast for lunch. And at 2:20, it was time to head to work. And of course, I saw a squirrel on the way there. And then at 3:20, it was almost time for the first graduation of the day. While waiting, I tried to edit a video. Couldn't work on it for long because 4 p.m. it was time for the graduation. Shortly after that, at 5 p.m., the first graduation was over. And at 7:30, it was time for the last graduation of the day. Then at 8:40, the graduation was over and it was time to go home. But first I got dinner from Wawa. And at 9:50, I was finally home. And as you can tell, Brownie was happy. At 10 p.m. I was trying to have a late dinner, but Chester wanted my sandwich. This was a chicken sandwich, and I didn't like it too much. Chicken, he does this. Anyway, after I had dinner, we're just watching. That's all I got for Tuesday, and now it's time for Wednesday. Wednesday start early at 8:30. Control room with coffee. And that's because there was 3 graduations, and the first one started at 9. And then at 11, the graduation was over, so that meant 1 down and 2 more to go. And at 12:45, it was time for the second graduation of the day. And then at 2 p.m., the second graduation of the day was over. And literally right after the graduation ended, I had a hamburger and chips for lunch. At 4:30, it was time for the last graduation of the day. And also the last graduation of this video. And just like that, at 5:40, the graduations were over. And then it was time to go home. I thought because I made a stop at Chick-fil-A for a celebratory dinner before finishing the graduations. At 7, I was finally home from work. Brownie and Chester were very happy. The dogs were done going crazy over me being home. It was time to go to my room. I was tired and I wanted to change into comfortable clothes. With a snap, let's do that. Changing? Chester was being cute. So was Brownie. After that, it was 10 p.m. which meant it was time to get ready for bed. That's all I got for this video, so now it is time for the outro. Bye! Alright y'all, that is the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed me doing camera for 6 days worth of high school graduations. Again, it couldn't be a week in life video because one of the days I had to miss because I had like other stuff to do. But I worked like 6 days worth for graduation, so that's what inspired me to 6 days in a life type video of me doing graduations. It was gonna be a 3 days in a life video because there was like 3 graduations that were like in a row, so it was gonna originally be that, but I thought it would be right to add on the other 3 days of high school graduation, so that's why it became a 6 day in a life video. I have a lot of fun doing camera for graduations, and because it seems special to like do camera for graduations, and also a chance to see my old teachers because my old school, Kingsport, also graduated. It was just really special like doing camera for my old high school and other high schools too. It just felt a little extra special to do it for my old high school. Now, the next time there's graduations, I don't know if I'm going to be filming it, but that's something I'm going to like worry about next year because I already have like a lot of graduation videos. But anyway, congrats to everybody that graduated. Hope you all enjoyed, and don't forget to keep on signing. Bye!